So there was a time a young girl came to my consultation room and she wanted to abort.
Now, her story was she had been married off in the village when she was, I think, about 14 or 13 years old, and married off to a man who was significantly older than her. She had had, I think, 2 children with a man, and they were in the village, and the man basically was not providing. But her family would always tell her there's no way you can leave the marriage. I think at that point she was about 16 or 17. Now she eventually escapes from the village and she comes to Kampala. She got a job as a housemaid, and she said that her boss was really good to her. Like, she was very happy. She was like, they told me how her boss was paying her about 200,000. She was like, I have never touched this money in my life. And she was like, this woman is so supportive, she's so kind, she's so good to me. She treats me like I'm her own child. So there is no way I am going to disappoint her with this. So while in Kampala, she had met some boy who, of course, they discussed with each other. It's sweet nothings. Now when the reality hits and then she gets pregnant, she was now like, I'm going to abort this baby whether it is you like it or not. So of course I sat with her. Now for me, I do understand the different value systems, and for me my value systems are based on the fact that I am a Christian and I also have my own value system as a human being. But I can't project that on everyone and say that everyone has to live the same way. Everyone has the different decisions that they do make based on who it is they are, where they come from, what they believe in, or what they don't. So in that moment, I remembered a 14-year-old girl who I had dealt with before that. For her, she came in when she had had a septic abortion. 4 times she got pregnant by some gentleman who was nowhere in the picture. She got pregnant. She was so scared. Her family was also not stable. Basically, they had told her, if you dare get pregnant, you cannot come back home. So because she was so scared, she went to a traditional, those people who do things in the village, and they poked things in there. So her uterus got perforated, it got septic, like bad infection. She was literally oozing pus out of her vagina, and her belly had become very distended, meaning the whole gut had been. So we're like, for us to try to salvage this uterus is for us to decide to kill her. So the plan was get this uterus out. 2 days later, I saw her again. At the time we were having the conversation with this girl, her sisters and her friends, who were also around the same age, were in the window. So they began asking, oh my God, is she going to still have her period? Now, this is something that really broke my heart, because I was like, there's a 14-year-old girl who has zero understanding of life. Her brain is not yet even fully developed. Our frontal lobe develops when we are 25. Now her brain hasn't yet fully developed. She doesn't even understand what she's doing. This man tells her absolute garbage, and then does this because that is practically defilement, no? And she does something she has no understanding of, and then now she's fully pregnant, and now she's too scared. She goes to terminate. She loses her uterus, meaning she will never experience the gift of being a mother. Her life has literally just survived dying. These are things that now, how do you move on from that, you know? So now fast forward 4 years later, I see this other girl who tells me this. I told her, so I discussed with a few colleagues who have dealt with these things. I gave her different options. There's the options in Mulago that deals with teenage moms. There is different options. She said, doctor, let me tell you by the one thing. Whatever it is you're telling me, if as long as it's in the line of me keeping this child, I'm not going to do it. So what I did was I referred her to a place. I gave her different contacts. I told her I can't do it myself, just based on my value principles and what it is that I believe. I do not accept this. I'm not someone that will practice in this. But just so that you don't die and you have a chance at living another life, I'm going to give you different contacts. And in as unfortunate as this is, I was very conflicted, but it made me remember that young girl who had to lose her uterus. So I don't know what it is that she decided to do eventually after that. I don't know what she decided to take on. I don't know whatever decision she decided to make. But I was like, I hope she made the right decision and I hope she's okay. But now for us to come back to the drawing board and discuss these teenagers who have no understanding, these girls that make these irrational decisions, these things. I mean, even mature women are making these decisions that are not right. Now how about these girls that have nothing? should we go back to the drawing board and have these conversations? There's talking about things like sex ed. We can guide our children better. So I think we have a few solutions. Number one, in the community, because the stigma comes from within us, one, we can guide our children better, both the boys and the girls, about self-control, about sexual education, teach them better. Number two, when we're having these conversations, let them be realistic and appropriate for the different age groups. But we must have these conversations. I even have a story of a girl who was 8 years old, and it was her 8-year-old classmate that had molested her. I'm not even joking. As long as your child is able to speak, you must find age-appropriate ways to talk about sex, because this is something that is literally in our faces. Like, it's like this. Number three, we guide better. But number four, especially for those who are teenagers, do you think, and this is something that I'm asking because I know how there's so many varying opinions, do you think contraception is something that should be made of access to these young girls? Of course there's conversations like condoms, but in most family households, they don't even talk about this. We don't even talk about this. Do you think that we need more support? And right now, the USA banned funding to contraception and etc. because it's not regarded as life-saving. America First policy, so they're trying to cut funds so they can support the American people. But now I'm asking us, what can we do? And I want to also make a cry out to our policymakers. Please keep shining light here. We have gone so far with empowerment of women, but there's these girls that are still in ditches for this. Like, they're still in ditches for this, and it's not even just even right now as we speak, you know. So tell me, do you think availing contraceptions to these children is abominable? Do you think we should have these conversations in our families, in our homes? What do you think?